Good to go.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for attending today's seminar. My name's Angela McCall, and I'm going to spend the next sort of 60 minutes talking to you about the power of a sales funnel, and in particular, a digital sales funnel. Now, some people might already have an idea of what I'm going to be talking about, and some people might not have a clue at all. So hopefully by the idea of this 60 minutes is that by the time we finished, you would kind of answered a few questions, put a few strategies together, and sort of build the whole picture up as to what you can do with your client attraction process. Hiya. No worries at all. Take care, careful. Okay, so without delay, let's sort of crack on. So bear with me while I keep diving forwards. Right, so today what we're going to look at, I just said to you, we're going to look at the different steps involved. There are generally around 7 steps to a sales funnel. There are lots of different styles of sales funnel, so what we're going to look at here is the most sort of basic, so that you get the concept to walk away with it and sort of get some thoughts going. We are going to, well, as I said, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself, what gives me the power and the right to stand here today. For the last 16 years, as I was just saying to this gentleman a minute ago, I've been a website designer, but a proper website designer in the sense that I went to university, I learned how to code from the ground up, and it's not just one of these, I've done a 6 weeks course and self-proclaimed myself a designer. So I've got quite a good schooling now on what can and cannot be accomplished in the world of websites. But the problem is, a lot of people think the website is the be-all and end-all, and it's not. It's just the beginning. And whilst I've spent the last 4 years being a mum, I've sort of reinvestigated my time and re-energized my time into basically working through sales funnels. My clients were coming to me because of my knowledge on how to make their website a tool instead of just being a designer, and I've kind of nurtured that and I've built upon that. So I've kind of stepped away a little bit from the design. I'm a website designer, and I'm actually now engaging clients that understand and want to understand the power of a sales funnel and the whole process from first contact with a client all the way through, leading them through your site, what you do with them after your site, and capturing their details. So I've got a degree and all the other bits and pieces and industry qualifications that I need to be able to stand here today and present to you. I'm also a Checker Professional Business, just a very quick plug. A lot of people in the website design world do give people a bad name. There's cowboys in any industry, and one of the ways I wanted to make myself different is to go through the Checker Professional process, and that's basically all my testimonials and things that I do are independently vetted and collected, which means I've had to jump through a number of hoops to get this not qualification, but this badge of honour, as it were. And you can be able to go and check and read for yourself any of the comments that my clients have said about me. So moving on. Okay, so the client attraction process, the problem first of all. A lot of people basically do what most of you will do, as in they'll go out, they'll network, they'll put adverts in the newspaper, they'll do all the regular type things that they think they should do to generate traffic and adverts and momentum to their business, and that's great. But a lot of the time, miss the big picture because they're not experts in the whole marketing process. So when we're looking at the client attraction, how we get people in, what I do is I say don't do one big advert that talks to everybody. I would sit with a client and we work very, very specifically on one tiny niche of your audience with their one specific problem. And with that, what we will do is we'll then generate a sales funnel for just one key niche, and we'll funnel them through. So what the power becomes is that we get to talk one set of terms and keywords all about their problem and nurture them through. So when you're looking at client attraction, doing all the things that you do, everything is a means to generate business. And what I will do with a sales funnel, if you actually employed me, is to tailor a specific advertising campaign for a niche group, and we'll do one funnel for that and a different funnel for something else, and what we then get is an army of specific messages going out to key groups, and it becomes a lot more powerful than one message talking to nobody. So that's how you generate the interest first of all. That's the hook. So you get your adverts, your networking groups, search engine optimization, all these different things are about generating traffic. The key is what you do with the traffic. Now, there are 2 specific types of a sales funnel. Sales funnel is a generic term that kind of encompasses all sales funnels, so it does mislead people a little bit, but you've got a data capture or an actual sales funnel. Now, for most of you in this room and for the type of business that I am, I'm a service-based business, which means that I generally go through the process of consulting with a new person, possibly writing a proposal and a project specific to their needs, and then if everything sort of fits and merges together, I'll then on the third step win a client. Okay, so that's a general process that most service-based industries will go through. By organising and structuring a sales funnel or a data capture funnel, I can basically jump through 2 of those steps. The data capture funnel is about collecting people's names and emails so that you can populate your mailing list. And if you're a product-based business, like as a retail, and you want an actual product that you want to sell, a lot of people will take a sales funnel on a one page just to basically sell a product with no data nurturing, no capturing. It's just bam, this is what we do, and that's what the product is I'm selling, buy it or not. When I'm looking at the kind of clients and people that are in this room, can you just quickly put your hands up if you are a sort of a service-based industry as opposed to, you are, yeah, pretty much. Okay, so realistically for you guys, when you're doing all your advertising efforts, what you'll be doing is you'll be, you know, being proactive, getting out there, doing your advertising campaigns, and then you'll send them to your website, which is fine, but the people visiting your website are just as busy in life as you. Phone will be ringing, they will be, you know, running around like crazy people doing all the things that demands on their job, and they won't necessarily find their way back to your website when they need to. So what you're doing at the moment is you're waiting on the good sort of faith that you have in your consumers to take action when the need is ready for them, instead of controlling them. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to give you the power to basically control your audience. Okay. Let's just see if there's anything on here that I've missed. So basically a sales funnel is broken into advertising, the right message to the right person to get them to take action, sending that action somewhere which isn't your website on the first point of call, it's a squeeze page, but I'll explain that in a second, doing something with them on that page, collecting their data, nurturing them into a mailing list, and as soon as they've parted ways with their information, you bounce them on to your website. Okay, so one of the things people make the mistake of is when they're advertising their business is that they actually try and sell from a little bit of paper. So for example, flyer advertising. You're trying to get the entire benefit of your business, all of its values, the message for the product or service you're selling on a tiny little bit of card. Say, for example, you put this through the letterbox of all your local consumers, maybe a mail out in the local community. That by the time that audience has received that bit of card, it could have been trodden on, the dog could have chewed it, all of these things, and you're trying to sell the quality of your business from a tiny bit of paper. It's a real nightmare, but people don't know to do anything different. Instead, what I would like businesses to do is actually think of that as just a tool, a mechanism to lure people into taking a different action. Okay, I'll give you an example, and I'm going to go on to a little story just for a second, but bear with me. When I first started the networking scene around 18 months ago, my little girl was about 6 months old, and I was just putting some feelers out, ready to come back into the workplace. And one of the things that I know about myself is that I can talk quite fast, and I try really hard not to, but I get passionate and off I go. So I happened to meet a hypnotist. Now this is something I wouldn't normally think about, but at a networking event, we pass cards, build a good rapport up, just all the things that you guys would have been doing already today at this networking event. So I met this lady, had a great rapport, took her business card home, happened to put it on my desk, whatever it was, the kids got it, I don't know. I never found that business card again when I wanted it. Sometimes they go in a shoebox, sometimes if I'm proactive, they'll go on LinkedIn. But anyway, it just so happens about 2 months later, I was asked to present this seminar for the first time at a workshop. Thinking this is a little bit scary, I thought I'd make contact with my hypnotist to see if she could, you know, slow me down, give me some pointers, all the other bits and pieces. Could I find her card? No. What happened was I did a Google search for hypnotists in Portsmouth because I was living down south at the time. Could I find her? No. All I could remember what she looked like. I mean, everybody here has had this experience. You're sitting there smiling away at me because it's a real life situation. I'm not the only person that does this. And lo and behold, I couldn't find her, so I ended up speaking to other competitive businesses in the same area as herself. Lo and behold, the irony here is when I then delivered that workshop for the first time, she was only gone sat in the audience, and I was using this as an example, and her face just dropped because her hard work benefited her competitor. Now, as it happened, I then moved up to Milton Keynes, so that person didn't actually get my custom. But if you can think of all the connections you've made today, all those good rapports and good conversation and good vibes, and you've passed business cards, okay, but your lives are going to interrupt your chance to get back to that business cards. Even if you're proactive, your life just gets in the way and things happen. And when you then have that need, you have to go hunting. Now, if we take this scenario and think, if my lady had been very clever, the very first point of contact, she would have given me a reason and a need to want to go and visit her website. At which point, say for example, she had a little online course or an ebook or something like that, the incentive, it's called a lead magnet, something to like want to lure me in. So I'm like, yeah, I'll give you my name and email. In return, I'll get something really meaty back. That meaty something has to be as good and as powerful as a service you would have parted cash for. Otherwise, it's just blur, it's just nothing. So if she'd have done that with me for 3 months, she could have nurtured me with some hints and tips regularly to my email box, for example, onto my LinkedIn page, whatever she wanted to do to nurture me. But she could have been building a rapport with me so that when I was asked to present a workshop and my need materialised, I wouldn't have had to go try and find her and end up with someone else. I would have gone to my email account, seen a whole list of really high quality emails where she'd have given me good quality advice, so I already knew she knew what she was talking about. I would have clicked on the link, gone to her website, purchased one of her packages. And that's kind of the benefit of what I'm trying to explain to you guys today, is the fact that at the moment, the general way that people advertise is that they rely on their consumers and their audience to take action, which means that whole rule of thumb, that 7 points of contact that you've got to make in order to keep getting in front of your audience is a huge energy, and it's a commitment that you as a business has to do. But if you can jump past all 7 points of contact and skip to making a good impression on that first one and getting those people to part with their data, what you'll be doing is then you'll be in the control, in the nurturing seat, so that when the time materialises, they can take action. And that is the power of a sales funnel. So what we've got here, going on here, excuse me, is we're just looking at the entire sales funnel process. So I've already talked very quickly about the whole client attraction, getting the right message in front of the right audience, laser precision style advertising. What I'm talking about here, which is the term like you might have heard, landing pages or squeeze pages, these are one standalone website pages, okay? Put your hands up here if your business has a website. Okay, put your hands up here if when you do your advertising strategy, do you put your website address on all your advertising leaflets? Okay, how many people here then are able to track if that advert generated someone who went to your site? How can you tell which advert works? Because it's the same address. Is it not? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so taking this as an example, all right, if you had one landing page that isn't your website, but a page that's specifically designed, a bit like a Trojan horse, where it's from your business perspective to capture details, from your clients it's doing a different task as delivering quality content, but you had it, for example, say you're a photographer and you've got a line of work that is just for business corporate clients. You could then put an advert specific about corporate advertising or corporate photography through LinkedIn, for example, because it's a business community. Okay, you could then have those people come through and land on that one specific page. And there are lots of little free services on the internet that you can do so that you can turn your URL, your website address, into a trackable link. Okay, and I'm going to give you a live example at the end where it all comes together, so don't worry just yet. And like I said, the presentation will be going out to you so you've got copies of my notes. But if you were then able to track how much effort you put into your LinkedIn campaign, and then how many of those people then clicked onto your website page, you could track how many then didn't take action. You could then track and know that the people in that mailing list for that LinkedIn campaign were really interested in corporate photography. You're not sending out one big message saying I'm a photographer, come use my services. You're talking to a business that has to do a marketing campaign and needs headshots. So you're talking about the right message in front of the right people, going to the right place. And because they've gone to a squeeze page and not your website where they get distracted with everything else that you've got going on, and the reason that page exists is because it's got that one message that's relevant to them, they're more than likely going to take action. A higher return or higher sort of click-through rate, or whatever you want to call it, in the sense of they're going to have a higher action than you would if you just sent general traffic to your website page. So a squeeze page, you have to think of it as a kind of like a standalone page, purely and utterly designed for one purpose, which is, from your perspective, collecting name and emails. From your audience's perspective, they're going to be getting that freebie, that lead magnet, that incentive, that really juicy something to do with your business that is so interesting that they would want to part cash with to retain or obtain anyway. Okay, and I'll be giving you an example, bringing this all together as we get to the end of the seminar. So a lead magnet, as I've already said, it's a free something. It has a value. It's not just a free 20% off voucher. In fact, doing a monetary type freebie is, unless you're in a retail environment, is actually a bad thing to do for a service business. When we're looking at your sort of freebie, as it were, you need to do something that's going to part your knowledge onto your consumers, something that they can use so that they actually get a value from it, they get to put it into context. It's kind of like testing the waters with you as a company, getting to know you so that actually, you know, you've already opened that door of communication with them, you've already built that bridge or started to build that bridge of building a relationship with your audience. Away. For example, today I'm going to be giving a copy of this presentation and the videos that are going to come with it. Now you might find that really handy, so this is my lead magnet. It's not costing you anything, but it's a juicy piece of something. It's a digitally delivered item, so it's nice and easy to automate, and it's going to go free to those who subscribe to my mailing list. Does that make sense? You're getting something out of it. I'm basically purchasing your name and email with a free quality item. Okay, the most common is something like an ebook, which is why you see them often floating around on the internet. Now, by asking you to join my mailing list, I'm also covering another couple of angles here. First of all, you proactively, as my audience, have the right to say yes or no, I want to join. You're in the controlling seat, which means if you actually say yes, I want to become part of this mailing list, and you freely give me your information, I know that you're kind of interested. It's more than like just generating a card at a networking event. I know that you are kind of engaged with me as a business. What I could do, if I was very clever, is I could then, once you're in my mailing list over a couple of weeks, I could then test the waters and think, okay, so I collected maybe 200 names here today. Maybe only a couple of them are really interested in my services right now, but how do I test that? And what I could do is I could create a little incentive, a little carrot to dangle in front of by emailing out this little incentive to you and asking you to jump into a different mailing list if that item was of interest to you, at which point you've taken 2 actions now. And what I'm talking about here is now qualifying your leads. So if you think, how many of you, as I said earlier, on a consultancy-based business, basically you go through the consultancy route, you then write the proposals, and then if you're lucky, everything comes together, you get the client. Those are 2 steps that's dead time. Now, if you had a way of filtering all your leads and all those inquiries into your business so that you always worked with those that had taken those 2 steps, you know that they are more engaged and ready to commit to whatever it is that you're offering, like a business as a service, than those that have just generally put their name in the mailing list, okay? Because you don't know how committed they are. So, you know, when you have those sayings and people like, you know, they're time wasters, they're not time wasters, they're people that are on the first step of finding out about a person to provide a service. They just might not be in the right place for 3 months, and what you're doing is you're losing them if you don't nurture them. But all the time you nurture them and dealing with the people coming out the other end of the funnel, what you've got is a continuous supply of high quality leads that have already been educated about your business, already understand your quirkinality, your quirkiness, your personality, and they're already engaged and they kind of already feel like they know you. So all of those trust or unknown fear factors of, you know, spending money with somebody and are they going to deliver, they've already been trying and testing and teasing your services for the last 2 or 3 months. So when you're gaining the information from these people, you might have heard the term opt-in, opt-out. Okay, what you're basically doing, and it will happen to you guys today, is when you put your name and email into a mailing list, checking that actually you genuinely wanted to receive this information. By doing so, first of all, they avoid spam in the sense of, not spam, but like those spamming bots that will hit a mailing list, just inject loads and loads of names in and just completely dilute the power of your mailing list. They can't do that if you've had to go through an opt-in process, because you're having to say, yes, I definitely do. Secondly, you've also got the ability then to self-manage the mailing list. Now, you guys all might be 100% on board today and think, yes, okay, this sounds interesting. You join my mailing list, and for one reason or another, maybe you find the services of someone else, or whatever happens, you think, I don't want to receive Angela's information. She's not necessarily touching the right buttons, and she's just not the right consumer for me. I've had enough. By self-managing your mailing list, what you're also doing is getting your audience to decide whether they want to stay in contact. Now, the power of that is that you can keep your audience pure in your mailing list. There's nothing worse than having 10,000 people in a mailing list and actually only 100 of them being any use to you. That's a lot of work and effort that you're doing that is never going to materialise for your business. So you can employ what's called like a gatekeeping technique. So if you think of a big old burly doorman on a nightclub door somewhere, keeping the riffraff out, okay, you can do little, so shall we say, hidden techniques, things that you use in your terminology, things that you present, the way that you do something. There's lots of little things that you can do in your nurturing process that actually, if it doesn't resonate with someone, they decide to remove themselves, that's actually a good thing for you, because it means that when you're working with your lists, you know that the people in these lists genuinely 100% want to be there. They are more meaty for you than just purchasing a mailing list from some company, or teaming up with another business and knowing the quality of those leads. So that's one of the benefits there of gaining the permission of your visitors into your mailing list. Now, if you think so far, so just to recap, we've got the adverts, they're pushing people through to the squeeze page. The squeeze page is basically selling your free product. They're putting their name in, and then they hit the submit button. What happens next? Well, this is the point in the that the visitor ends up on your website. Possibly you could also bounce them onto another sales funnel, but I won't confuse you too much. But essentially, this is the point that they arrive at your website. So you actually think about it. What you're doing at the moment is you're putting out your website addresses on all your website, and then go. For me, I'm actually making the website the fourth step in the process of bringing in a client. Now, that obviously sounds like a lot more effort, but I know that when they're on my website, what my website then becomes for me is a tool. It's not just a brochure. A brochure isn't earning you any money. If you're employing a salesperson to sit at a desk Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and they bring in no leads, as a business you think, oh, this is not right. Maybe I put them on a training course, and maybe I fire them and get someone else. You need to have the same aggressive thought process about your website. Your website is a sales tool. If you cannot directly relate a lead or a sale from your website in the last 2 weeks, then question why your website exists, because it's doing nothing for you. Okay, yes, you have to have your business cards out there with your people expect to have your website address on it, but pretty much on your business card, your letter-headed stationery, those kind of things where it's expected, that's pretty much the only time you really need to advertise using your website address. Everything else you do should be advertising the free gimmick, the free lead magnet that's pushing through a specific sales funnel somewhere to capture a specific group of people, because they'll always end up at your website. And the beauty of this is when you are nurturing people, maybe you're doing a campaign on one of the social media sites, maybe you've got a whole series of emails, like for me, when I send out my video about the videos being available to watch, there'll be emails coming to you. All those emails will have links on there coming back to my website. I might also have links on there going to another incentive to test you as an audience as to how interested in basically strategizing a sales funnel you might be, and take you into a different sales funnel and a different list again, because I know you've then jumped through 2 hoops. Does that make sense? I know this is quite complicated, but that's why I do my job and you guys do yours, because this is what I love. It's my oxygen, and this is the way my brain works. And if anyone in here asked me to do something about HR or build something, I wouldn't have a clue. But this is why we all do what we do. This is why I step into businesses and I basically strategize what your objectives are, what you're trying to achieve, and I basically build it for you if you want me to, or I can talk to your design team, as it were, and get them to implement it. But essentially, I'm doing my marketing. Say, for example, I'm talking about the power of a whiteboard animation. Maybe I want to say to my audience, you've got all of this text on your website, it's really, really boring. Why don't we jazz it up and use a whiteboard animation? I could then send people specifically to a page that sells the whiteboard, then I'm the whiteboard animation, or I can send them to my website, which is a tool with a big old button on there that says buy now. There's no brochure aspect involved. It's a tool. Every page of my site has a purpose, has a reason, and I've thought through the structure of how people engage so that the end outcome of every page has a call of action. If you've got the only pages on your site that should not have a call of action generally is your about page, because that's the page that people visit. It's one of the highly most visited pages, where especially if you're a small business, people don't know about you, they want to get a feel for what this type of business is. That's generally the only page on your website that shouldn't have a lead or a sales outcome involved. Okay, if you've got a site that's just explains all about your business and every page has no call to action, you are wasting your time and money. It doesn't matter how much traffic you're going to send to your business or to your website, you are just going to be exhausting your resources. Things that you can do. There are so many more companies out on the internet that also provide free services that are very easy to turn a brochure site into a sale or lead generation tool. It just needs a little bit of a thought behind what actually is taking place. I've spoken very quickly about lead qualification. For example, everybody in this room is here because you want to be here. About 2 months ago, I was asked to do one of the 10-minute after-hour slots at the Milton Keynes Chamber, which is generally in one of their networking events. You stand up for 10 minutes and you talk to a room of people about what your business does. And so not necessarily explaining the sales funnels, but just, hi, I'm Angela and I do, marketing and all the rest of it. And one of the problems with doing something like that, when you're talking to people that don't necessarily want to engage, is that you're basically selling, and people don't like the whole sale. We don't like spam when it comes into our inbox. We don't like rubbish coming through our front doors. So by qualifying people, you get to test them. You get to see how actually interested they are in what it is that you're doing. Okay, so everything that we've talked about now is just one sales funnel, as in you've got the adverts in a specific campaign, going to a specific squeeze page, selling a specific free benefit that gets your details, that nurtures you on that one sort of line and path through. But in this room here, you decide, okay, this is really quite interesting. In 2 weeks' time, I might want to list generated today. Now I know that my mailing list has been generated by those that are interested, so you already kind of got one tick. But how interested are you? Okay, that's the magic question, because if 100 people, or there's like 20 people in this room, if all 20 of you decide to make an inquiry, how can I test that you, sir, for example, want to purchase tomorrow and you might be thinking about something 4 months down the line? As a business, I will exhaust myself, and it does happen, and most of you will go through this as well, trying to deal with every inquiry that comes in, because it's great that you've got inquiries, but you don't know unless you start talking with them. And of course, an hour of your time or half an hour on the phone trying to nurture that information out and get that to sort of test how interesting your audience for another couple of months, or yes, this guy wants to buy in the next 24 hours. Your persona changes because you know they're ready to commit now. And if you had the ability to test your audience digitally, automatically, without having to do a lot of work, and basically say jump through hoop 1, hoop 2, hoop 3, by the time they get to hoop 3, they are a lot more engaged than at the first step. And that's what qualifying your leads do. And all it takes is to have a different funnel for a different purpose. So all I would do is present a new campaign, a little teaser, something saying, I don't know, maybe 50% off if you purchase in the next 24 hours, and you think, oh yes, I was going to do it, so I'll do it today, get the benefit, and off you go into a different mailing list. And I know then you're even more engaged. Does that make sense? You can also do it with inquiry forms. It doesn't have to be a sales offer and an incentive in that sense. You could basically sort of test the waters. You could, a lot of people that I talk to, I try to say, think of your consultancy route, those 3 steps, as more of like an application, because you want to work with quality businesses that don't drain your energies. We've all got the ideal client. It would be nice if we could have more of those kind of situations come to us. And one of the things that we can do when you qualify leads is that you can actually filter out and maybe even say no to some of the people that you think are just going to exhaust you. After working for 16 years in this sort of web design industry, I've got quite astute now as to the specific type of client that I want to work with. Yes, I can design a website for any type of need, but it doesn't mean to say I want to. Do you get what I'm trying to say here? So actually what I'm doing is I'm giving you the power to become picky and be proud to be picky. Okay, and all you need to do, without being in your face with the people saying, oh, I don't want to talk to you and I don't want to, you know, you're not good enough for me, is you can be kind of almost like sneaky in your approach to testing audience by the incentives, by the campaigns, by the things that you ask them to do, the way that you ask them to do it, and the things that you're presenting that they'll get out of it from you. And you can test them, and basically you can just decide, actually, you're not the type of organisation for me. And I mean, for example, you might be retail, and I'm like, okay, I just don't want to work with retail people anymore. I don't want to do product business. Whatever it is, you can decide, and you know, you'll have your, oh, I don't want any more of those type of clients, time wasters, or whatever it is. You can basically qualify your leads. And what I'm saying is, if you get this right, it doesn't just have to be a sales path. It can be a client maintenance path as well. Can almost use it as a cleansing technique. I'm working with an IT company at the moment that basically they've been trying to put their prices up on one of their particular clients now for about 4 years, and every time they do, they don't, and there's a big rigmarole and all the other bits and pieces. And I actually got to the point and said, well, it's almost getting to the point where you're paying or they're costing you money. Actually, as a business, you just don't need them anymore. Almost tell them to go. If not, make them jump through a couple of hoops to show you they want to remain your customer. And it sounds like you're kind of flipping the process a little bit, but it's not just about bringing traffic into your business. There's lots of different mechanisms that you can use these sales funnels for. The sales funnel term is just quite generic. It's just generally about bringing people through a following set of sequences and steps. One of the final things that people also do is they think when they've got a client, haha, it's job done. Actually, no. You can still carry on the sales funnel process. What you've got then is the chance to almost recruit your clients into becoming sales teams for you. Okay, so by this what I mean is you can build powerful referral marketing campaigns. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Everybody in here heard of the company Dropbox? It's quite a well-known company. When they got going and their business got going, they still use the same referral marketing company now. They have never paid for any advertising ever, yet they are pretty much one of the biggest global companies for, you know, different countries and all sorts with regards to the services they provide. Think about every time you've wanted to share a file with someone else and they haven't been a Dropbox member, you've recommended Dropbox to them, shared the file, you've got a little extra space, they've got a little extra space. No money has parted ways, but you've got a benefit. Dropbox has got a benefit because they've got a new client. The new client has also got a little extra space than if they went direct. Does that make sense? It's like a three-way win relationship. When you engage a sales funnel, we've talked about how we automate everything through and they get to your website. When you've got a sales button or a mechanism to like maybe generate a lead through your website, we're talking digitally here at the moment, the page that you send them to that says, thanks very much for your inquiry, or thank you very much for your custom, you can drop code onto that page, because the only time it is ever seen is once people have gone through a purchasing process, and then you can basically engage a referral marketing campaign. Basically say, thank you very much for your custom. As a little reward to you today, if you could give us a shout out to 3 of your friends, or point us on social media, or do whatever it is that you want them to do, we'll give you, I don't know, Marks and Spencer's voucher, or 10% off, or we'll give you, you know, half a day of our services free, or a free ticket for it. You know, the incentive could be anything. But what you're then doing is giving them a reason to talk to you. Now, if you rely on word of mouth on its own, that's a great way. It's probably the best way of generating custom and clients into your business. You know, your friends have already tested a company out. They already got an idea, you know, of what's going on, and there's no fear factor because you know someone nice and trustworthy in your life that's recommended a company to you. But there is no reason why we should just leave that again to chance. If you think it generally happens when a business is talking to someone, they're like, oh, I know such and such company. But why not incentivize people to be more proactive at keeping you in mind, so that when they are out on their networking, or they're liaising with other businesses, or they're, you know, meeting new contacts, whatever it is that the situation gets them in front of other people, instead of just saying when the opportunity arises, go talk to Angela because she's great at what she does, or go talk to this person on HR because they're great at what they do, You could be more proactive. They can engage with social media and put shout outs with all of the people that look at their profiles. So you can basically engage a three-way relationship through a referral marketing campaign. And again, the beauty of it is it's all digitally monitored for you with tracking codes. So as a business, you're sitting there thinking, okay, so what happens if this person A recommends me to 10 other people and all 10 want to have that benefit? I've got to sit there and deliver out 10 sets of gifts and track this person and pay that person back. You don't. If you get the right type of company, and there are lots of different companies, but it's about knowing what you want to do as a business and getting the right advice. But if you get the right referral marketing company, as I said, everything's tracked with codes, even down to the fact that if you're delivering an incentive that can be digitally passed through the internet, so something that can be emailed or something that can be downloaded, then the whole system can be automated. And all you need to do at the end of the month is look at your account as to how many new clients you've gained from it, and you haven't had to pay a penny on advertising. Can you see where I'm coming? All you've got to do is set that system up once and forget about it. Apart from the fact that I think Dropbox have changed the incentive, I think you get slightly less now because they've got a nice audience. You used to get more space. They have not changed their referral marketing campaign in the entire time they have been in operation, and they've never paid more than a couple of hours worth of work for someone we're doing to set the campaign up. Now you think how much money you've already spent in 2015 advertising your business. I can guarantee you that's probably twice the budget that Dropbox, yet they're a multi-million pound company, okay? Because they're using their clients as their sales team and just rewarding them as and when, and it's not financial reward. It's about being smart, and the great thing about the internet is there are so many companies, so many different service providers out there that can give you a lot of these services for free or for very little money. I mean, just as an example, what would you say a cost of like maybe a credit card size advert in the local like MK News? I mean, you're probably talking what, 180, 200 pounds plus VAT? Okay, you think what 200 pounds would give you on a social media marketing campaign tailored to a specific audience that went through a specific funnel, that landed in a specific mailing list, that nurtured just one little aspect of your business. Okay, you might argue, well, that £200 should be shouting about all your services. It shouldn't, because you then got one message that does nothing as opposed to one powerful message talking to someone specifically. And you nurture that little group of people, and whilst that one's being nurtured, you start on campaign number 2 talking about a different part of your business. So taking the photographer, he could have one campaign on LinkedIn, nurturing people through the corporate into the mailing list, nurturing them with emails that are about corporate requirements, needs and wants and all the rest of it, so that when they are ready or need to, they think, oh, think of that photographer. Whilst on the other hand, he could be doing a Facebook campaign because he knows a lot of mums are on there and might be doing a baby type campaign. He's still a photographer. He hasn't generated one advert, which he could have done, which most people would do. He's created specific advertising with specific needs going into specific mailing lists all through one funnel, and those people all end up at his website, which is also a sales tool, so that when those people want to take action, they can go and put in an inquiry, or they can go and push the button that sells a particular package. It isn't a brochure, and nobody is being sent to his website. They're going and they're being pushed through the funnel. Now, another argument that you might have is, what happens if they get to this landing page and don't want to be part of whatever it is that you're selling? Well, first of all, that's more rarely likely to happen, because, you know, the advert that got them there in the first place was talking about a specific thing. So if they weren't interested in that specific thing, they wouldn't have got to the squeeze page in the first place. Does that make sense? And of course, the whole idea is that you've got something really juicy, really meaty that you're giving away for free, so that you incentivise them to put their name and email into the mailing list. And if they don't want that free gift, then they probably wouldn't have purchased from you anyway. So again, it's a way of filtering out the time wasters, so you know that when people come through into that mailing list, they are quality leads, that may be cold leads at the moment because they're not in the right time. You can nurture them. How are we doing on time, anyone? Okay, right, so pitfalls and things to look out for. I've talked about some of these, about one message doesn't talk to anyone specifically at all. Basically, one of the worst things that you can do is, part of your nurturing, is a lot of businesses, if they're sitting on this mailing, especially If they think, okay, well, we'll do this. Okay, well, actually, you know, I've been trading for like 7 years and I've got all these past clients and, you know, I want to nurture them back into my business. So they start sending out spam email about discount and voucher and free this and spam. And basically what you're doing then is you're just being as annoying to your audience as if you get that rubbish that comes through your letterbox, you just don't even look at it, you put it straight in the bin. Okay, it's a tool. Just in the same way it can be abused, it can also be a major benefit to your business. As a service-based business, what you don't want to be doing is spamming your audience, because if those people are engaged with you and you've done everything right to start with, you send spam after spam after spams, buy, and you bore people. Why are they going to bother to open your email? You've got nothing to engage them and keep them engaged. So what you have to do is you have to use your nurturing process as a constant engagement tool and an educational program. Basically, you're teaching your audience about your business. So if you've got a blog article that might be quite popular, one way to advertise it, where they get to test what your thoughts are on a particular issue, is to tell them that it exists in an email and so on. You could send out some advice. You could say, I mean, for example, if I do a new project for a client and I do a case study, I'm like, go check it out. It's really, I mean, people are nosy. Going and seeing what Angela's done for Tom up round the corner, you know, and you think, oh, I've seen him on a networking day. You can't help yourself. It's like, oh, he's got a new website and that Angela's done it. You can't help but wanting to go and know, especially if you know someone. There's a lot of ways to keep involved, and of course all the time these emails are going out and they're interesting, or they've got advice or tips and strategies that you can just go away and instantly implement and use and then start trusting the advice of. They're going to keep them in their inbox. They're not going to block you. They're not going to take themselves out of your mailing list. What they're going to do is they're going to keep it and almost look forward to the next email that they receive from you, which is a great and powerful thing to be in, because when they do have a need, they won't even question that other companies exist. They will just go, Angela's the girl for me. And that is the point where your sales team have just won. In fact, the sales team don't even have to do a sale. The sale's been done by you as a business through your nurturing practices for the last 3 months. All you've got to do is get them to sign on the door, or whatever it is that you close the sale with. Okay? So a live example, I'm going to give you this link again in a minute, and most of you I think have put your names in the card, so I'll save it for you. But as you can see here, this is a bit.ly link. It's not my website address, okay? Bit.ly is a free online service. You can all go and open up an account. It's not going to cost you a penny. So if you do nothing else today and you want to start tracking if your advert in the MK newsletter works or the flyering campaign you're doing works, you can turn your website address, and I'm going to give it all to you in a minute again on the screen, so don't worry if it's a bit too small, but you can turn your normal everyday use of your website address into a very specific link, which will give you stats. It will give you things like the time of day people clicked on it and used it. It will give you geographical locations. For example, well, this is a Milton Keynes seminar, but you will all have contacts and people that live around the country and around the world, and my service can be digitally provided through the internet. So I do have friends from when I lived in New Zealand who hire my services, and I can see the benefits of this one link and this one time being used today by not only how many of you and how many people out there through today have gone to my website using this link, because I can track it. So it's probably going to give me a bit of a peak for the next 24, 38 hours or whatever it is, and then it's going to filter off. Okay, but I can also then see if your email, so you've got an email from me with it, and you think, oh, my friend in John O'Groats would really do with Angela Services, and you forward your email on. If in John O'Groats, old Bob decides to use this link, I get to know about it. I know it's a direct relation of today's efforts. So today's cost me £100 out on my Expo stand. Okay, it's cost me £30 for my pull-up banner, so it's £30 in a day's worth of my time and investment. And from today, I'm able to provide an exact return on my investment. 130 quid's nothing. Oh, of course, a couple £100 for the camera crew there, but essentially I can go back and say, right, okay, I've picked up 10 leads. These 10 leads have turned into 3 really good quality leads that are ready to go now, and of those 3 I've made 2 sales. So instantly I know, A, well, I've made my money back from today's effort. I can track everything back to today's promotion. If I had just given you my website address, I would have known none of that knowledge. Do you understand the power? And this is still pushing you guys through a sales funnel. And I'm going to click on this link now, she says, just to quickly show you what you're going to expect. And this is when everything goes wrong. Oh, he's not joined on the internet, so I can't. Essentially, what you'll be doing is you click on this, you go to a squeeze page, you do not land at my website. And the squeeze page is basically saying, hi, thanks for attending today. Did you like what you received? Fantastic. Would you like a copy of the presentation? All of these notes with all my other comments and bits and pieces on the bottom. If so, great. Put your name and email in the box so you get the power. And of course, as a live example, I'm going to nurture you into a mailing list and away we go. Do you see how it's all starting to fit together? And everything that I've done isn't just going to be down to potluck. It's not going to be down to the fact that I can see if it's working or not. I will know as a direct relation to my efforts today because I've pushed and funneled you. I've controlled my audience. I'm the one with the power, not you guys. Apart from your yes or no, you want to go in, but that's fine. If you don't want to, you wouldn't purchase from me. I'm the one in the driving seat. I'm not relying on any of you to take action and remember that my business exists. I'm not relying on any of you to keep hold of my business card and, you know, it gets shuffled into a shoebox on your desk and then you think, oh, sorry, I'll go to the internet and try and find Angela. I've basically taken and reversed the entire client attraction process. Okay, instead of trying to put myself 7 times in front of your business so that you become remembered, I'm hopefully catching you on point contact number 1, and that's it as far as I'm concerned. Everything else is nurtured, you'll get hold of me, and if you don't like what I do, that's fine because you would never have purchased. Go, please leave my mailing list, and I'll give you, and I proactively tell you where to find the button to do so as well. Okay, so I push that as a positive thing, not a negative thing. Okay, and that's pretty much the benefit of what today's about. Now, I've got some summary notes there, but I've explained the whole thing for quite some time. So what I'd rather do is take some questions if we've got time. Okay, so again, normal ways of getting in touch with me through my social media. And if you're a Twitter fan, I've got a hashtag. I've got a small YouTube show that goes on with 5-minute little hints and tips. I had to kind of put a stop on it because I got so much work coming that I actually had to hold back on everything and deal with my client base first, but that's relaunching in April. But again, if you want to have any comments about today, you can use that hashtag and talk about me. And for those of you who couldn't see that, there's that link again. Unfortunately, I'm not on the internet. I forgot to check it. But essentially, if you use that link or pop your name or your business card, shall we say, in here, I'll sit down and I'll proactively put your name in my mailing list, and then you'll get that message saying, would you like to receive a copy of the presentation? And you've got the power to say yes or no. If you say yes, instantly within about 5 seconds, my presentation will land in your inbox along with anything else that I want to send you, which will be in about 2 weeks' time when I get the video crew to segment everything up and put it all together again. But that is essentially an example of the sales funnel and how it can work. Capturing people's data, nurturing your clients, testing your clients to see their seriousness, and basically thinking about the entire path through from first nurturing them right through to actually getting them to work for you to promote your business. So is there any questions? Ooh, she goes yes.
So pardon me, in terms of this Bitly stuff,
yeah,
what's the difference between using Bitly and just putting an extra page on your website that goes from your LinkedIn page to, you know, www.whatever.
Essentially, yeah.
Just tracking it using analytics.
You can track it and use analytics that way. It's just that for a lot of people that want to do their own marketing, this is a very nice, neat and easy way for them to understand and digest it. Obviously, you sound quite engaged with that, so you're probably willing to experiment in other areas. There is nothing wrong with it at all, as long as you can track what you do. If you cannot track even paper style adverts, do not spend money on it. It's wasting you. You don't know if it's working for you. There's just no, you know, you might get word of mouth and things like that and say, oh, I vaguely saw your advert on MKFM, or I've vaguely done this. It's fine. Vaguely is not really giving you an answer that you know as a business to drive forward and repeat that activity. So if you can't track it, don't do it. But there's nothing at all. If that's a different way of tracking it and it works for you, that's, you know, that's the end result. That's good.
Don't you sometimes find it's difficult to give away that, what you're calling that sort of free prize? I mean, I get what you're saying, because Seth Godin wrote a whole book about it, and it's called free prize. But
yeah, there's lots of different terms.
What if you just, the business just doesn't lend itself to giving away a free prize?
What's your business? Give me an example. Or are you just talking hypothetically? Okay. I haven't come across a client gives away something of an incentive. IT company that I'm looking at, they didn't want to create a book because everybody's done a book. So their whole ethos is try us. You know, we are different to other IT firms. We don't keep you waiting for 5 days. We'll give you an hour of free support. Come in, get your instant, you know, and they're giving away an hour of their time so that you experience their service that way. If you've done your marketing right, by the time that person arrives on that squeeze page, they should be so eager, because people want to move away from pain, things that cause them anger, anxiety, frustration, annoyance, waste their time, waste their money. People just don't want to be dealing with it. So if you dangle the right message in front of the right group, which is why I'm saying you do specific adverts, specific needs, by the time they think, oh, yeah, that person has the solution, you never give a solution in your advertising, by the way. If you give them the answer, they can make a decision then and they don't take action. You never give the answer in your advertising. You hint always at having the knowledge and the solution. They have to go investigate if they want it, at which point they'll arrive at the squeeze page. The squeeze page is all about getting that solution, that like kind of euphoria moment about solving their problem, their issue, whatever it is that you're, you know, promoting, and away they go. So if they don't want it there and then, that's fine, because they would never have properly purchased from you, or you haven't got the right message in front of the right person. So, but the volumes, you'll see that the volumes will be higher than any other type of advertising. You're not going to fuss about one or two that don't engage. Any others? Come on, there must be something.
Squeeze pages are contrary to SEO rules by Google Webmasters. Why would it have a squeeze page?
Why would you have a squeeze page?
It's not what Google recommends.
Your business, okay, there is lots of different ways to advertise and bring in traffic. I don't proactively do anything with search engine optimization, because by the time I've optimized my site, and because of the way that my clients come to me as a business, okay, SEO is a complete waste of my time and effort. Okay, it naturally exists through the keywords I would engage in my blog articles. It will naturally exist with the actions that I do. But I know that for me as a business, I don't rely, I'm not hung up on searching engine optimization. I do nothing, but yet my business is absolutely booming, in the sense that I'm getting my right message in advertising methods that work for me. SEO is great if you sell nationwide, because you've got an entire audience. SEO is great if you sell a product or a service. But as a small one-person business, that's just, especially if you're geographically restricted, like a hairdresser, you're not going to drive to Scotland to do a hair appointment. You're going to go probably 10 miles from where you live. Okay, you've got to think about how your audience works. So if you invest heavily in SEO, that's absolutely great if that's a working method for your business. And if search and if you know Google doesn't like the squeeze pages, like you said, then that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But for most small service-based businesses, I can tell you right now, dropping SEO, forgetting it even exists, and working with the method that I'm adopting here will be far more lucrative, because you're getting the right message in front of the right people at the right time and nurturing them through to your business. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Anyone else? No? Okay, well, I think that's kind of like a wrap for today. You know, if you do want to come and ask me anything one-on-one, no worries. I'm going to go back out onto my stand for I think there's about 15-20 minutes left of the expo. What I will do now is, before you leave the room, if you want to have a copy of today's presentation and the notes that you can't see, the bit that I've been looking on my screen here, the whole lot, you know, I'm not holding anything back, the whole lot can be yours. Put your name in the box, or go to the link, put your name on the website page directly, and you'll get a little message instantly from me saying, would you please confirm opting in, that you want to be part of my mailing list. Say yes, and I will deliver the presentation within seconds. And then in a couple of weeks, when I've had a chance to sit down with the film crew, go through everything, we've segmented the 60 minutes up into lots of little chapters, answering lots of specific things, I will deliver that as well through an email. And the only other bits you'll get from me, I don't spam. If you don't want to be part of it, you can opt out at any time. But generally, once a week on a Wednesday around about 10 o'clock, I will generally publish my newsletter. All that's going on. So that's all it is. There's no sales. It's just hints, tips, advice, little things you can do, strategies you can use in your business. Thank you very much indeed for attending. Thank you very much for your questions. And if there is anything else, I'm going to be out on my stand in about 5 minutes. Please put your name and cards and whatever else you want to put in the hat.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's very warm in here. We're all going to go out flush. Yeah, certainly. Thank you very much. I felt like I was like, there's a little glazed look on some people's eyes as it's sort of like, what is she talking about? But hopefully. Thank you. That's the whole point.